Welcome to Historicon 2009. I wish I could be with you, but I can't. Right now I'm either rehearsing or performing in Romeo and Juliet. I play Friar Lawrence. He's the monk who gives Juliet the sleeping potion. Think of him as her drug dealer. Sharp wouldn't like him, but Sharp doesn't like many churchmen. He shares that with Hornblower. I read Hornblower as a kid. I absolutely adored it. When I'd finished all 11 books, I wanted more. And the only place to go for more was the non-fiction histories, and that's how I discovered the extraordinary stories of Wellington and his army in the Peninsula and at Waterloo. I wanted to read those stories. I wanted to read Hornblower on land, and nobody was writing it. And eventually, I guess in my mid-30s, a light went on in my head, and I thought, why don't you do it? And so I did, and that's how Sharp was born. He was never supposed to be called Richard Sharp. I wanted a much more interesting name, something like Hornblower. I couldn't think of it. I made lists of all sorts of weird names, trumpet whistler. I can't remember them now. And it was holding me up. The book wasn't getting written, so I just thought, well, I'll call him anything. And then when I think of the right name, I'll go through, cross out the name I'm using and put in the interesting one. So I called him Richard Sharp, after the English rugby player, and of course the name stuck. And now Richard Sharp has been fighting the French for, well, 30 years. He's a rogue, he's a villain, which is why Sean Bean plays him so well, because Sean makes a great villain. But he's our villain. He's a villain on our side. A great soldier once said to me that a soldier's job is to fight battles for those who can't fight for themselves. And Sharp does that very well. He does it with two weapons. The obvious weapon is this, the Baker rifle, because he's a rifleman. I made him a rifleman for two reasons. One, rifleman on the whole had more freedom of maneuver on a battlefield, which gives me more scope as a writer. And secondly, because of this weapon. The British had it, the French didn't. The French only had smooth-bore muskets. Napoleon did not approve of rifles. He forbade their use. But the rifle was a lethal thing in the hands of the right man. The famous story, of course, is of Rifleman Plunkett, who shot a French general at 700 paces during the retreat to Corunna. That was a freak shot. Nevertheless, this weapon was accurate certainly up to 200 paces. And if you think that the average musket wasn't even accurate at 50 paces, it gave the British skirmishers a great advantage. I wanted Sharp to have that advantage. The other weapon is this, Sharp sword. It's a British 1796 pattern heavy cavalry sword. It's a brutal weapon. It's ill-balanced, it's clumsy. The troopers themselves didn't like it. You had to be enormously strong to use one. Well, Sharp can use one. He's rather like Ensign Ewart, who killed 7 Frenchmen to take an eagle at Waterloo. So there he is, my Richard Sharp, armed with his rifle and his sword, still campaigning, still fighting. I wish he could be with you. I wish I could be with you, but I can't. But thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoy Historicon 2009.